So let us start with our seminar, Sustainable Environment Theory and Practice. To make our discussion more precise, let me put up a statement to make it much simpler. The statement is as follows. The effect of sustainable development on economic, socio, environment perspective to reduce the carbon footprints for recovery of our environment. I would be discussing each and every aspect of the statement. Let us first start with understanding what is sustainable development. Sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. It is generally done to avoid depletion or degradation of natural resources and allow for long-term environmental quality. But it definitely does not mean living without luxuries, but rather being aware of your resource consumption and reducing unnecessary waste. We all know that India has an increasing population, and this number directly affects the natural resources present around us. More number of people means more utilization of these resources. Sustainable development helps in planning of utilization of these resources in such a way that even the future generations get to utilize these resources. Let us now understand what the three aims of sustainable development are. They are economic, environmental, and social. Let us study about each one of them in detail. The first one is economic. It is to attain a balanced growth where it includes profits, cost saving, economic growth of the country, research and development, which helps in increasing the economy of the nation. The next aspect includes environmental, which helps in preserving the environment by reducing the use of natural resources, prevention of pollution, environmental management, etc. And the last aspect is about social, that is, including all human communities to access all resources, education being the top priority to raise the standard of living and also gain equal opportunity in all fields. These aims are also called as the three spheres of sustainability as they are interlinked with each other. Let us now take a look on the three spheres of sustainability. As you can see in front of you, I have a picture of the three aims of sustainable development and their interlinkage with each other. So I'm going to be discussing the three spheres of sustainability in detail now. The first is the socio-environmental aspect. We humans play a major role in the preservation or destruction of the environment. We are one of the key attributors to the environment, be it in a positive way or in a negative way. Maximum destruction to the environment has been done by us. Hence, it is our major responsibility to reduce the destruction and recover what is lost from the environment. Firm laws with no loopholes have to be made to protect the environment. Strict action needs to be taken against people who violate these laws. Conservation of natural resources has to be done, taking care that the needy ones get what they want without any exploitation. Participation of local people living nearby the forest area can be encouraged for protection and preservation. This definitely will help in increasing the awareness among the local, leading to ecological conservation. As the locals know more about their forest land than others. They live nearby, they know what are the main resources available in the forest areas and the importance in conservation and preservation of these resources. Hence, humans or the localites can be made a prime important factor to protect or preserve the environment in such cases. Now, we move on to our next aspect, that is enviro-economical aspect. Energy conservation can truly benefit the environment and also make a difference from the economical point of view as in increasing the economy. When we try to tell people not to use the available resources or decrease the amount of usage, they are reluctant to accept it. Instead, we can imply on energy efficiency, which involves technologies that require less energy to perform the same function. For example, we all have heard about LED bulb and CFL bulb, and most of us are even using it at our homes right now. But a lot of people are unaware that the LED and CFL bulb require less energy than an incandescent light bulb, which produces the same amount of light. Nowadays, government provides subsidies for the use of natural resources. This is one of the ways in which the economy of the nation can be raised. It is sheer negligence by a lot of people that they do not accept the new technologies which come over and they like to stick to the older ones. If these negligence are removed from the society, our society can progress to a large extent. Now, we come to a last aspect of sustainability, socio-economic aspect. This again plays a major role in the development of the nation. If you remember, I spoke about involvement of local people for preservation of forest areas in socio-environmental aspect. Society, to a great extent, can help to increase the economy of the nation. This can be achieved by following business ethics and having a fair trade of the goods we receive from the farmers. If this is not followed, then the profits start falling, which affects the economic growth to a great extent. Achieving economic growth helps in the protection of Earth's vital resources. We all have seen farmers being at a great loss even after producing a lot of goods or crops every year. Why does this happen exactly? So, there is someone called as a middleman who actually helps in transporting the goods from the farmers to the market. Okay, so what exactly happens here? Farmers sell their goods at a very low cost, and the goods are sold on the market for a very high cost. So, what exactly happens here? The middleman who actually helps in selling the good from the farmers onto the market gets the benefit. So, he earns a lot of profit out of the goods and allowing the farmer to get very less amount for the product he is actually selling. So, how can this be removed? We can make a platform where farmers are allowed to directly come and sell their goods, their grains, their crops directly in the market so that all the profit goes to the farmer and they are never at loss. So this will at large scale increase the socio-economic aspect. Now let us move on to our next topic, sustainable development theory. I really hope you understood the three spheres of sustainability. So now we move on to the next topic, that is sustainable development theory. So we have selected basic 5 theories of sustainable development. We are going to be looking into each and every theory one by one. The first point here is development perspective of sustainable development theory. So what exactly is development? Development means to make something for betterment, right? So, development plays a major role in all aspects of life. Imagine you want to build a new house, you want to improve your standard of living. So, it is one kind of development in your personal life. So, if you want to progress in your career, it is a career growth perspective or career development. So, whenever you try to develop something, you always plan, and that planning has to be foolproof so that you study each and every aspect of development, making sure there is no loss for you so that you never get stuck anywhere. So, development, the meaning of development remains the same at every possible aspects. Let us see what development means here. Development can never be done without planning. And when someone plans for a development, he or she starts considering all aspects like the cost input, resource availability, the feasibility, environmental aspects, and involvement of communities. Optimum development can be stated as the one which looks after the people's demand along with conservation of the nature. So, when we are talking about development on a large scale or on ecological aspect, we always make sure that development has a benefit to the environment along with consideration of the local people or the people residing in that area. Any development without affecting the natural habitat proves to be more efficient than the others. For example, if a newly formed area where a factory of some sort, maybe a chips factory, a potato chips factory, is to be started, though that area was a barren land. So basically, they have not cut the forest area for starting a factory. So that is one positive aspect. But they have started a factory. So a factory will lead to pollution, different kinds of pollution. It could be air pollution, it could be water pollution, it could be noise pollution or land pollution. So if it is a potato chips factory, what kind of pollution will that potato chip factory lead to? The potatoes have to be cleaned, they have to be peeled off, they have to be washed thoroughly. All this washing, cleaning will remove a lot of effluent from the potato factory. So these effluents are going to go into the river or the sea. So it is going to basically pollute the sea or the river. Water pollution. If big machineries are getting involved in some kind of factories, the machineries will make a lot of noise, and this noise is going to lead to sound pollution. If smoke comes out of some factories, the smoke is going to lead to air pollution. So any kind of development at the cost of nature or any kind of natural resources is not going to be efficient enough for the environment. So development should be in such a way that it always benefits the environment without causing any harm to it. Next, we talk about sustainability perspective. As already discussed, sustainable development can only take place when all the three aspects are taken into consideration: environmental, social or cultural aspect, and the economic aspect. All this can be done by conservation of natural resources, energy reduction, saving, outdoor recreation tourism, cultivation of local assets, employment of local artisans, tax credits for preservations, reduced energy use in construction, reduction of landfill waste, preservation of heritage and history by encouraging tourism. I'm sure you must all have seen the advertisement of Gujarat tourism, Madhya Pradesh tourism in your television sometime or the other. So what does these advertisement actually point out? These advertisement try to increase the economy of those states for which they are being advertised. For example, Gujarat. The advertisement of Gujarat is done by Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. He is one of the well known personalities in our society. So people tend to see the advertisement. And when they see the advertisement, they only see the best in that state. And this best things in the state will be remarkably in their brains. And whenever they try and plan out a holiday next time, they will try and make sure that they visit that place just because it is well said by Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. So, this is just one of the example that I'm trying to give. But it is equally sad to know that people do not generally like to visit places of history and heritage because they don't find anything attractive there. Instead, they would like to visit a beach or maybe some other picnic spot, maybe some resort where they can have fun, they can enjoy. But nobody wants to visit a place with some good history in it. But to make it more attractive, we need the help of advertisement. Advertisement to a large scale helps in promoting the area's beauty, what we actually call scientifically as aesthetic beauty. So, aesthetic beauty of a particular area is increased because of these kind of advertisement, and it really helps in the sustainability perspective. Now, let's move on to our next aspect, which is technology. I'm sure you must all have heard about the term technology. So, what exactly is technology and how does it help us in sustainable development? This technology is one of the broad concept or a major theory in sustainable development. You will come to know why. Agricultural technologies. Agricultural technologies help in improving the productivity of soil and water conservation and maintains reasonable cost of food and fiber. It also improves the soil fertility, water availability, reducing the food loss and enabling the farmers to modernize as they become feasible to them, as it becomes feasible to them. Now, what does it all mean? What is agricultural technology? So, you all must be knowing how agriculture used to be performed years back. They used to have a plowing cart because of which the earth or the ground or the land used to be plowed. But nowadays, it's been changed by tractors. Tractors have replaced those bullock carts and plowing, what do you call it, plowing machines. And instead, tractors help, and it becomes easier for the farmer to use a tractor on the land. Now, the manpower has reduced because of this. Secondly, a lot of farmers are more, what do you say, educated. The children of farmers want to become farmers because they are more well versed in farming, well versed in agriculture, and also they know new technologies because they are educated. They learn modern technologies and try to implement it on their land, which will help in giving them best results. Okay, so next is energy technologies. This helps to provide and improve energy services for developing world populations and more efficient biomass stones to reduce fuel use, reduce the hazardous smoke emissions, simple motor driven systems for pumping water or grinding grain to reduce the burden of these physically damaging tasks on women, and energy efficient pumps, fertilizers, and mechanical tractions to improve the agricultural productivity. So, we all have seen women, men and women both actually, working on fields and being more efficient in plowing. Being more efficient in doing all the agricultural practices at the earlier stages, from plowing to cultivating to harvesting and to separating the grains from the husk and packaging. But nowadays, since the demand has increased, the burden of these workload has come over women more often. So, to reduce these physical burden or physical demanding tasks from women, there are efficient mechanisms which can be implemented by each and every farmer in their land. The next is environmental technologies. Provision of sanitary services system which will serve in rural as well as urban areas, which is one of the major aspects. So, sanitary practices is an essential part of our day to day life, be it rural area, be it uh, an urban area. So, good sanitary services has to be provided by using the best technologies of the environment. Many processing industries like the electrical power industry, chemical industry, petroleum refining industries, steel industry, paper industry, food and textile industries, which are a potential buyer for environmental technology. So these environmental technologies can be developed which can be sold to these different types of industries which are available and ready to buy them. So these are just some of the examples or the areas where technologies play a vital role. So, if we start discussing about technology, it can go on and on. It is one of the major aspects of sustainable development theory. But let's move on to the next one, that is economic theory. So, what does economic theory actually says? Why economy is given such importance? What do you mean by economics? So, the progress of a nation majorly depends on its economy. Economic growth can be achieved by cost efficiency and competitiveness among people, and employment in all sectors, international trade, increase in investment, and more food production. Economic development, when combined with sustainable transport system, brings solid economic growth, economic prosperity, and the ability to economically recover, provides the capacity to manage disaster and also assist to face the disaster that hits in the society, nations, and the country. Hence, economic theory also relates with the capacity to recover a disaster. So, the last theory is Marxist interpretation of disaster. What is a disaster? It is an event that causes a lot of harm or damage, for example, flood, earthquake, landslides, etc. According to Karl Marx, poor, minorities, and other marginalized people are more likely to live in dangerous areas and are affected by disaster. The main cause of disasters are economic, the main cause for this is economic conditions and political powerlessness, which relates to disaster vulnerability, causing a great loss to humankind and also to the environment. So we can very well relate this with the landslide that our country faced in Uttarakhand few years ago, or maybe tsunami in December 2004, if I'm not wrong. So these are different examples where major people gave their lives due to the natural calamity or the disaster, and only those people, majorly those people were affected who lived in coastline areas because they were hit by tsunami very early, and they were not even prepared for it, and they could not really do much about it. People who live far away or maybe in big houses were not majorly affected, though a lot of them who lived a little near the coastline areas were affected, but not much. So, this generally, what happens in a disaster is that the economic conditions, if the economic conditions of the country is not really good, the disaster recovery for the nation or for the state or for the area where a disaster has occurred becomes more difficult, and it leads to vulnerability. So people are helpless at that point of time, and even the political aspect cannot be really taking care of these issues very easily. So, with this, we come to an end about the 5 theories of sustainable development. Let us now move to our next part, that is environmental sustainability. So, before I discuss this topic, I would like to focus on the challenges which are faced during sustainable development. These are climate change, energy consumption, waste production, threats to public health, poverty and malnutrition, social exclusion, management of natural resources, land use and urbanization, and loss of biodiversity. Environmental sustainability can be maximally achieved by the following points: shifting to renewable resources. So, if we basically limit our usage of non renewable resources and focus more on renewable resources, we come one step closer to environmental sustainability. For example, usage of solar and wind powers will help in reduction of the non renewable resource use and promote more of the renewable resource use. Protecting the health of the ecosystem. It is in our hands to reduce the emission of carbon into the environment and together pledge to protect our environment before it becomes irreparably damaged. The next is targeting the welfare, not the gross domestic product. More value should be given for social welfare or social happiness rather than the domestic product that the country actually gets or gains. The next is intergenerational decisions. Whenever decisions are being made, especially the economic decisions, we should focus on implications for future generations and not just the present moment. For example, burning coal gives a short term benefit of cheaper energy, but the extra pollution imposes the cost on future generations. The next is protection of species diversity and ecological structure. Sometimes medicines require elements within specific plant species. If some species go extinct, it limits the future technological innovation. Avoiding excess pollution. Policies have to be made to ensure the environment of the planet does not deteriorate to a point where the future generation faces water shortages, extreme weather events, excess temperature, and all factors that could make living in parts of the world very difficult, if not possible, if not impossible. More pollution in the atmosphere will also lead to an increase in the carbon footprint, which later becomes difficult to be reduced. Let us now put some light on the advantages of social development. So, social development involves local people and it provides them with rewarding immediate work, income, and education. It helps in preservation of natural as well as technological resources. It helps in protecting the environment and also provides basic needs. It accommodates city development. It helps to control the climate change. It provides financial stability. And it helps in sustaining the biodiversity. So, these were some of the aspects of social development. So, the main features of sustainable development are: it respects and cares for all kind of life forms. It improves the quality of human life. It also minimizes the depletion of natural resources and it helps in enabling the communities to care for their own environment. So, with this, we come to an end of session 1. We will soon be starting with session 2 after a short break. Thank you.